Hey guys, it's Ninja. I know it's been a long time since I made a proper video, so today I just wanted to share my general thoughts on the new PvP because it is awesome. And I also wanted to update the champion points and just the builds themselves for the Stamina Necromancer anti-meta and the Magicka Templar one. In terms of gear, they both haven't really changed that much. But there are a lot of new passives introduced in this patch that are really important to know about that affect the builds. So without delaying it any longer, let's just get into the video. So my general thoughts on this new PvP, in a nutshell, just to keep it brief. Light armor's dead, damage is through the roof, which is awesome, but also extremely scary. Because I didn't really play PvP that much in the early stages of ESO. So all the OG players kind of know what to expect with everybody doing a shit ton of damage. Like I remember Nightblades using Viper Sting, if you even remember that, before it got nerfed. Like that's about when I started playing PvP a little bit, and then I got super heavy into it in Stonethorn. And that was a really slow way of playing compared to now. Now you'll die in 3 shots out of nowhere. Like before, you could kind of take your time a little bit and sort of play it like For Honor, if you've ever played that game. You'll kind of know what I mean, right? But in this meta, damage is through the roof, everybody has lower resistances, everybody has better healing, which is kind of weird but also cool. You're gonna die out of nowhere if you're not careful. And it's something that you're going to have to get adjusted to if you want to PvP seriously. And because of the fact that damage is so high right now, I think stat builds are going to make a return 100%. While procs are still cancer, I'm still getting hit for 20k zons and duels, you know, that's not going to go anywhere. But I can also hit people now for like 14k Dawnbreakers or whatever. Like my buddy on the Stam Sword hit me with a 14k Dawnbreaker just out of nowhere and just two-shot me. I mean, I was in full light, so that's the other thing I wanted to talk about, was how I think light isn't gonna survive this at all. With the fact that every toon now can get up to like 7k, 8k weapon damage or spell damage, and the fact that we have lower resistances now. The fact that light armor inherently doesn't have that much armor, and it has the penalties of 1% damage increase from physical attacks for each piece worn. So if you wear 5 light, that's a 5% increase. If you take a 5% increase of like 8k weapon damage on an armor that's already weak, you're gonna get fucking 2-shot. Like there's no way around it. And maybe some people will like that, but the benefits aren't even that much. With crit rate being lower, and only like super viable if you're at like 30-40%, I would say, you're gonna have to really lean into the crit. And if you lean too far into crit, you don't have enough power or defense to back anything up. So I don't think light armor on a general PvP build, like just, you know, some fucking Magplar that goes out in 1vx's or goes into Battlegrounds, I don't think that's gonna happen. Oh, I mentioned how light armor is gonna be bad, but I think crit this patch is gonna be awesome. Yes, crit ratings have been lowered across the board, that's true, but the crit damage bonus that you can get from the champion passive trees, and the fact that you can stack a huge critical multiplier on top of an already huge weapon or spell damage pool is gonna exponentially increase it to the point where you can hit stupid numbers. I was just playing my Stamcro in a battleground and hit a 15k whirlwind. Like that shit didn't really happen much before. I think crit is gonna be really popular this patch. Because people are gonna be able to do like 15k Dawnbreakers and shit when they crit, I think malacath is gonna see less play. Like before, crit wasn't really worth it. Crit didn't feel super impactful because everybody had like 3k impen from their champion points. But now you can get less impen through the champion points, and a lot of people don't have that many champion points. They're going to be more inclined to put everything in like weapon damage or healing or something else before they put it in impen. So people are generally going to have a lower impen value for a while. And until they fix that on their gear, or they get enough champion points where they have their core necessities and then put it in impen, they're going to be really, really weak to crit. And that's going to be a lot of people. Most people that I've seen have anywhere between like 500 CP to 1500. I'm in the middle. I have about 1,000 to work with. But like, I think 800 to 1,000 is where you get your core principles in your CP. You get like the things that you really, really want to make your build work. And then after that is just additions to your defense. So after about 1,000 CP, people are going to start putting points into impen because now they got all their damage. They're like, okay, well, now I can go get some defense because it's not going to hurt me at all. I don't have to slot it. I don't have to do anything. It's just extra points. Why not? Alright, so I've been asked to update these builds for the new Flames of Ambition patch. And in terms of gear, they're basically the same. The biggest changes that have happened to builds in general right now, I would say, is the sword passives. So before it used to just give you 6% damage, but now it gives you about 284 if you have a two-hander, and basically the same bonus if you have two one-handers, which is a lot of damage. That's how people are going from like 4k weapon damage to like 5.5 or 6k out of nowhere. That's just what's happening. It's not like they're doing anything secret, you know, it's just here. But another huge change that has happened to builds is the axe passives themselves. Now before, I had a Vatashran battle axe just because I had nothing else, you know, to do. Like, it was just a battle axe because that's just what I had. But now it actually gives a useful bonus, unlike before. Before it was just there to be there. And now it actually gives 8% critical damage and healing, which is pretty good. And maces have gone down. 3,300 armor per mace, per maul actually. So each mace, since we're using dual wield, each mace only gives about 1,600 penetration, which isn't as good to me as the sword passives. And the dagger passive is actually pretty good now. If you look at a dagger's crit rating, it's 812 per dagger. And if we look at a set bonus like Briarheart, each line of crit on there is about 640 weapon critical. So the bonus you get from your dagger passive is actually higher than a set bonus crit, which is weird, but is what it is, right? So looking at the stats, the first thing I noticed was that recovery is lower than before. Max stats are about the same, relatively, but the recovery is a lot lower. Like before, you remember when I buffed up, got the ghost and everything, we'd be at like 3,300 recovery or something. Now we're at 2,600, which is quite a hit. It's quite a hit. And our weapon critical went down from about 55 or 56 or 50 or something to 44, which is also a hit. But it's not unmanageable. It's just different. And we can also, with this new patch, you can also see your pen, which is pretty cool. Didn't have that before. That's really useful. I don't have to go in a calculator and add everything up or anything. It's just there. So that's really nice. I would still stick with the same food, same vampire stage, all that stuff. I wanted to try something different this patch. I went back to Clever Alchemist just to try and see how dumb the numbers are, because everybody's stacking 8k weapon damage, so why don't I? So to show you kind of what the build looks like, ramped up a bit, we only have 167 ultimate. I might as well build Frenzy while I'm at it. So we're at like 7.3k weapon damage without continuous and without a full Balord. With a full Balord, get to 8k. Very easy. But this is also without continuous, so continuous would bump it up by, I think it was 10%. 10%, and your recoveries would be buffed up by another 20%. So continuous would push us to almost 9k. Probably 9k on the dot. So the damage is much higher this time. Very much higher. And with medium armor, there's no penalties. And these bonuses, it just kind of feels like medium armor already had them. So you guys are here for the CP. Let me show you what I did with it, because it's a little bit different for everyone. Keep in mind, I'm doing this with 1052 CP. So, since we lost a little bit of crit, I decided to put some in here. You don't have to slot this, which is really nice. It's just a passive. I would say when you're doing your CP and you're making your own build, or you have less or more CP, I would get the blue star slottables first. Try and go for those, because those are going to give you more effect than something like this. And they're slottables, so once you put them on and you have all your slottables working, then you can start working towards your passives. Stuff that kind of helps you get along in the end, but isn't something that's going to jump you over the edge like immediately. So I went for 40 in precision, and I thought picking these 2 stars up would be really nice. So this one gives us 165 weapon and spell damage to your damaging abilities, which, I mean, we're all about getting up that burst, dom breaking, and destroying people, so that's really good to get. Fighting finesse. I didn't think much of this when I first saw it, but after trying it out, after using it for a while, yeah, it is very good. 10% crit damage and critical healing. Very good. Over here in the right, I put 150 into Untamed Aggression. And that's my other slottable. So we got a damage slottable, damage and healing slottable, because we're going to crit on the back bar. In here, I just went for the standard, like put 40 in here for some pen, 20 in there, and 30 in there, because that's going to give you a lot of extra power, and it's a passive you don't have to slot. And then up here in the right, I thought I would try out Biting Aura. Now this says Templar written all over it, but our Dawnbreaker, our Blast Bones, our Whirlwind are all AoE. So this will boost all of your combo damage, this is kind of like what I like to call it, the combo damage, by 10%. And then after, if you have more points left over, put some in healing. If you have more than me, put some in impen. Don't be like me and don't put any in impen. You know, your healing damage, martial attacks, you know, all that stuff. All that stuff is up to you, but I would say the essential blue stars are going to be Wraithful Strikes, Fighting Finesse, Biting Aura, and Untamed Aggression. So, I think that was enough for the blue CP. If you guys need more help or information with the blue CP specifically, just let me know. It's first time covering the new CP, so I'm not sure exactly how in detail I need to go. So just let me know if you have questions. So over in the red tree, since recovery and armor were lower, like this build is very squishy, so it was squishy before, now it's even more squishy. So I wanted to add some extra stuff to beef it up a bit. So I picked up Boundless Vitality, 1400 health, Ironclad for an extra 1700 armor, and Rejuvenation. Our recoveries are a lot lower. This kind of helps out a bit, but It's not the same recovery as we used to have, but it's still decent. And I wanted to try out Slippery, but this skill looks really dumb. Like, just looking at it, it's like, wow, that's really good. Yeah, 'cause it is really good. This basically allows you to break free for no cost every 21 seconds. So stuns are on a timer of about 6 seconds, I think. So every 3 stuns, you'll basically get 1 stun disabled for free. But it's not really about breaking free automatically. That's not really the point of this skill. The point is that it costs no stamina. Break free for no cost. So if breaking free costs you 4,000 stamina every 20 seconds, this will save you that. So that's why I think it's very good to use. And then the other passives, so I would get these first if you can, and then I would work on the other passives. So I went like 40 in Defiance just to reduce that break free cost again. 38 in Tumbling, I guess. I don't know. That's just how it is. 10 in there so you can unlock Hero's Vigor to get some extra health. Really feel like I need it on this build because I'm squishy shit. And this passive right here is actually really good. I would say this is probably one of the earlier passives that you should go for. Increasing your movement speed while sprinting by 2% per stage up to 8%. So, something I want to point out as well. And this is more just fun. It's not really like super game breaking or anything, but this increases your movement speed out of combat by 20%. So you stack it with medium armor and 8% from this. Just look at the medium armor passive real quick. It increases the movement speed bonus of sprinting by 18% when you have 6 medium on. So we're getting 18 plus 8 plus 20. So when we fast, we're very speedy. And this is just more of a quality of life thing. And it also enhances your kite ability, so I think it's really good to pick these up. So that's basically it for the Stamcro in terms of updates and CP and whatnot. So let's go over to the Magplar. So with the Magplar, again, none of the gear has changed. But there are some really interesting interactions with the CP and the armor, and our character sheet looks a lot different. So just sitting here, before we were at 2.5k spell damage just sitting there, now we're at 4k, because sword OP. And now we can see our penetration, which is pretty cool. In terms of max stats, they're all basically the same, and the recovery is lower, again. So I played around with this build with the recovery it shows now, and it still operates the same. Magic is a little bit harder to keep control of, so if you are struggling in a new patch with sustain, because that's probably gonna happen, I would try out a lightning. But something important to note here is our resistances are lower. Even when we buff up, go in the back, we're at 35k spell and 30k physical. It's still really, really, really good, but it is lower. And we're running full heavy, so I want to talk about why we still want to go full heavy. We don't want to drop any pieces of heavy. So first I'm going to talk about the penalties, because they are, something that you need to know. So we take 7% less from all physical attacks. So those people stacking 8k damage on a stam blade or whatever, we're going to take 7% less from them, which is awesome. They have 8k weapon damage, they're going to hit us with like a 14k bow. Nah, that shit goes down to like 8, maybe 7. But we do take 1% more from each magical attack. So that's something to be aware of, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. If we look at our resistances, they're very lopsided. What I mean by that is, look at our spell resistance, it's at 35k. we have an extra 5k resistances towards magic damage, but we take an extra 7%. And that's not even the highest magic damage we can get. Because we are a Breton, if we get affected by a status effect, we get another 2k. So that 35k you see there will go to 37. So while we take 7% more from magical, we have an extra like 7k resistance towards it. So it's not like it matters at all. And we still keep the benefit of taking less from physical attacks, while still being close to the stat sheet pen. And this isn't even counting proccing the Master's Shield. If we go over and we poke it, we're still at 43k spell and 38k physical, okay? We're fine, we're chunky. So there's nothing to be worried about there. But the other interaction that I really wanted to talk about, which is really dumb, I don't know if anybody even caught this, but in the heavy armor bonuses, it reduces your damage taken while immune to crowd control effect by 1%. So from what I can tell, that means that after you get stunned and you break free, you have that little thing around your feet. And that means that you can't be stunned again, so you're immune to crowd control. So while that's happening, you're going to take 7% less damage. Now, a cool bonus in the champion tree, if you go down here, while under the effects of that same condition, you take 2% less damage per stage up to 10%. So since we're in full heavy, we get 7% damage reduction after a stun, plus 10, so we're at 17. And then we also have minor protection from Adric Spear. So we're sitting at a 22% damage decrease after being stunned. And that's probably the most important time to have a buff like that. You're gonna get stunned and they're gonna smack you with everything they've got. But it's not gonna matter because we have 22% damage reduction and like 30k of each resistances. And if we have masters up, then we're untouchable. So that's something I wanted to really point out that changed. I forgot to talk about the spell damage. So our spell damage buffed up is very high. Look at this, smack once. We're at 5.6k spell damage. And our pen, when we knock something off balance, right? Now we do damage to it. Our pen is at 13k. And then if we apply breach, that's another 9k. So we're sitting at about 22k pen. Wait, is that 21? Fuck, can I do math? No, 22, yeah. So we've got malacath on with now close to 6k spell damage and 22k pen with 40k resistances when we buff up with masters. So the Magplar is extremely strong right now. This build is a fucking unit still. So now you're probably asking, okay, now what did I do with the champion points? Well, here you go. So I only put 10 in here into precision for the crit chance so I could get 2 Wraithful Strikes. Again, I think this is one of the highest damaging CP abilities that you can get. It gives you 165 to your damaging abilities. And I picked this one up, which just gives you 150 permanently. This one's a little more useful because it's just raw spell damage, so that means that can go towards your healing. Whereas this one, it's just all damage. It's not as useful as this one, but it still is really nice to have. And since Templars have some of the dumbest heals ever, I really wanted to maximize the healing I got. So I put 50 into Focus Mending. This is another slottable, but increases your healing done with single target heals up to 10%. The more healing we get, the higher Master's Sword and Board is going to push our resistances gained. And since we have one of the strongest single target heals, like, period, like, look at that tooltip, that's fucking stupid. Like, that passive right there is going to buff all of our bullshittery up even more. It's just gonna make what Magplar does really well even better. And so that's the theme with the last passive I got in the blue tree, which was Biting Aura. All of our strong attacks are AoE damage. Your jabs is AoE damage. Your Crescent Sweep is AoE damage. Solar Barrage, AoE. So this gives us a 10% raw damage boost to all of that, while having, you know, 6k spell damage, 22k pen, and malacath. Like, this is gonna push it even more. And in here, I just went for the standard, you know, 40 in there, 20, 30. That's probably just gonna be a staple you're gonna see on a lot of builds. Just because you kind of have to, and it's nothing you have to slot, so it's really nice to have. I also put 30 in here this time for more healing taken. I don't care about impen on this build because I'm a fucking unit. Who cares? What, you gonna hit me with a 15k bow, dude? Have you seen my resistances? No. Anyways, that's basically it for the blue tree. So back to the red tree, we talked about this interaction. There are a couple of ways that you can abuse that interaction as well. You can increase the duration of crowd control immunity, but if you're only immune for 6 seconds, this goes up to 15%. That's only going to give you 1 extra second, and for 50 points to go into something, which is a lot in the CP tree, that's not a whole lot of benefit. You can do it, but it's just not that good. To me, this is better. So after we get stunned, and we're breaking free and we need to heal ourselves and we're tanky, we're gonna get an extra 200 magicka and health recovery. Now our health recovery is actually still pretty good. We got sugars on, we're at 1300 right now. So with that passive, we're gonna be at 1500. And then when Eternal Vigor procs, we're gonna be close to 3k with scaling and all that. And if we have a tripod, which I don't think I have any on this guy, but if you have a tripod, then that's going to boost it to 3500 health recovery. Not to mention the 200 mag recovery you get that we desperately need. Our recovery is generally lower, so when we get that, it's going to help out a lot. And then you combine that with a potion, we're going to be good for magic. Another passive I got was Ironclad, just so I can have some armor. And Rejuvenation, just to give us those 3 recoveries that we need. You need magic recovery because we don't have a staff. If you can't get these recovery passives, like you're too low CP, or you really like this and you really like Slippery and this and you just don't want to get these ones, that's understandable. But you're going to need to run a staff instead, because the recoveries you get from these 2 passives are really good. You're probably going to need to get a staff so you don't run out of magicka like crazy. So the other passives I got, just 40 in Defiance again. 120 into Tumbling, or what the fuck, 15 into Tumbling, 10 into here. I maxed out Hero's Vigor, and instead of going for movement speed because heavy armor is pretty slow, I went for block mitigation and block movement speed. This is also a unique passive that increases your bracing speed by 15%. So now we're not really slow at all. Like, we're not speedy like the Stamcro was, but like, I don't even have this maxed out. And I'm moving, you know? I'm not staying in one spot and just inching forward. I'm actually on a move. I didn't go into the green tree on the last one because there wasn't really much to talk about. There's not really anything useful in here. The only useful stuff in here is going to be Rationer, Liquid Efficiency, Steed's Blessing, obviously. Like, there's not much in here for combat. I think that's all I really wanted to talk about, in terms of Magplar and Stamcro and all that. I have been planning on making a build video for the Magicka Dragonite I've been playing on stream. It's by far one of my favorite classes, because Dragonites are just awesome. But, it runs 5 light. And last patch, that was doable. I could take on 4 people in light and be okay. But in this patch, with the percent damage increase, the lower resistances, the fact that everybody has 2k more damage, the fact that Dragon Knight's scaling with the damage they're getting sucks ass. I don't know. I thought DKs were gonna be really good this patch, but after trying them out, like he definitely does damage. Like I can 2-whip people, but like very, very squishy. So I need to work the kinks out with that before I make a build video for it, because I'm a perfectionist when it comes to my Dragon Knight. I really am. I love it too much to release something that's only half-baked or good. Like, it was really good this last month. Like, I've been playing it for a month straight. I definitely tested it enough. It's a bit different this patch. I need to work out the kinks for it, and then I can get it out. I also got exams, so, you know, I haven't been able to do that much. What the fuck? Anyways. I think that's everything from me today. If you guys want to see me stream some, no proc Cyrodiil, I was thinking of doing that on my Stamcro and run just Spriggans. I think that'd be pretty cool. I've been streaming, like, every week, usually on Fridays, Saturdays, Sunday. Like, once or twice a week, I think. If you guys want to pop in, say hello, watch me die in IC, I don't know. Hey, that rhymed. Feel free to. I love interacting with you guys. Anyways, that's it from me. I wish you all the best luck with this new patch, because it's going to be a learning process for everyone, and I hope we can all help each other get our builds to where we need to be. Ciao.